Nothing highlights the MAGA movement more than its double standards, especially when it comes to free speech. Figures like Donald Trump, J.D. Vance, and Elon Musk often claim to be defenders of free expression, but in practice, they react harshly to even mild criticism. We've seen Trump threaten critics, target protesters, slash public programs, and funnel taxpayer dollars into harmful agendas, all while claiming to champion free speech. The irony is, his latest attempt to silence dissent didn't go as planned, because today, despite his efforts, the crowd at the US Open greeted him with loud boos. We'll break down exactly what happened. But first, a quick reminder. If you're enjoying this content, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. It really helps support our work. Now, before we dive deeper into Trump getting called out in New York, let's start with someone who's been a consistent voice against his attacks on free expression. Congressman Jamie Raskin.
Protectors of free speech, but they only want to protect speech they agree with. In the UK, Mr. Farage is openly promoting the abolition of the Human Rights Act of 1998 to be replaced with a British Bill of Rights that limits the right of free speech to British citizens and legally sanctioned residents. He complains that racist threats against immigrants are not protected free speech, while he proposes to strip migrants, tourists, and perhaps even visiting American congresspeople of any free speech rights at all. I had my own close encounter with that when Mr. Farage and his team presented for more than an hour in a conversation we had about free speech. And after 3 minutes of talking, he cut me off and terminated the meeting because he didn't like what I was saying. That's the kind of free speech he's committed to. There is a free speech crisis in America today, but there's no free speech crisis in Britain. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer has not shut down GB News, where Mr. Farage has his own show, just because Mr. Farage has used his airtime to call for banning peaceful protests that he disagrees with. No one has stopped him from going on Russian TV 17 times and saying also and repeating that the one world political leader he most admired was Vladimir Putin, even though Vladimir Putin is a war criminal and a dictator who has regularly interfered in other countries' democratic elections. No one has stopped Mr. Farage from parroting Putin's absurd talking points, like when Farage claimed that NATO, the US, and Britain provoked this war in Ukraine. For a man who fashions himself as some kind of a free speech martyr, Mr. Farage seems most at home with the autocrats and dictators of the world who are crushing freedom on earth. Mr. Farage wants to get rid of the Online Safety Act in his country, a law shepherded by the Conservative Party and implemented by the Labour Party, which bans child pornography online, protects children from harmful content, forbids non-consensual pornography and other unlawful content. He should go and advance the positions he's taking here in Congress today in Parliament, which is meeting today, if he's serious about it. To the people of UK who think this Putin-loving free speech imposter and Trump sycophant will protect freedom in your country, come on over to America and see what Trump and MAGA are doing to destroy our freedom, kidnap college students off the street, ban books from our libraries, militarize our police and unleash them against our communities, take over our universities, wreck our professional civil service, and turn the government into a money-making machine for Trump and his family. You might think twice before you let Mr. Farage make Britain great again. I yield back.
Republicans want to pretend that they care about free speech, but Republicans just care about being criticized. Their party is one that celebrates a very petty personal politics. That is what they care about, and that is what they're focused on. They're mad that they don't have friends, that people don't like them for what they say. Now, Republicans don't get jailed for it the way that Donald Trump jailed students for criticizing Israel's ongoing genocide in Gaza, but of course, they don't care. They think that those things are the same. They think the state trying to suppress your voice through intimidation is the same as you not having a buddy because you're a weird freak who's a bigot like Donald Trump and J.D. Vance. But that's not the same. And we saw that attack on free speech. Donald Trump trying to intimidate anyone into bending him to his will happened before the US Open. What Donald Trump attended today. And it's very important that we check out what he tried to stop happening before we see him get booed. Broadcasters ordered to censor crowd reactions when Trump attended the US Open men's final. Broadcasters covering the US Open men's tennis final on Sunday have been asked to censor any audience reaction to Donald Trump, who plans to attend as the guest of the tournament sponsor Rolex. Tennis reporter Ben Rothenberg wrote Saturday for his publication Bounces. An internal email sent by the U.S. Tennis Association leadership to U.S. Open broadcasters obtained by Bounces requested that broadcasters censor any protest or other reaction to Donald Trump's presence at Sunday's U.S. Open men's final. It's clear that Donald Trump knows just how unpopular he is. Reports suggest his team even tried to get ahead of the situation and limit the boos. But that in itself is concerning. When a political figure tries to control how a public event is broadcast so people don't see or hear the criticism, that's a step toward authoritarianism. It reflects the broader MAGA mindset, wanting control over not just the narrative, but every aspect of daily life. And while the TV coverage may have muted the reaction inside Arthur Ashe Stadium, those boos were undeniable to everyone who was actually there. Oh, what a sound that was. And here's something worth pointing out. Pam Bandy, the former Attorney General, was also seen sitting in the box with Donald Trump. Now, someone in that role is supposed to remain fully nonpartisan, yet she's repeatedly appeared at high-profile events right alongside him. Questions about conflicts of interest and ethics violations have come up before, including when she joined him at a major soccer match. It's the kind of thing that raises serious concerns about impartiality. Still, what stood out most at the US Open was that even with all efforts to avoid it, the crowd's reaction to Trump was loud and clear. And it's not just limited to one stadium. Protests continue across Washington, D.C., and are expected in cities like Chicago and Baltimore as well. Meanwhile, the polling numbers are reflecting that pushback, and analyst Steve Kornacki broke it all down here.
And we're looking at all adults here. This is voters and potential voters. Casting a wide net, we ask about President Trump's job performance, a 43% approval rating. That's what we find in this poll. And of course, that number, that's about the level we've seen Trump at in this second term, and it's about the level we saw Trump at too back during his first term. So it's sort of a bit low historically, but this is very much par for the course as far as President Trump is concerned. On some specific issues, he continues to get his lowest marks right here. This is inflation, the cost of living. Just 39% approve of Trump's job performance there. We've seen that throughout his second term as well. He does better when it comes to the border security and immigration, 47% job approval. We did something interesting here, though, Kristen. We also asked about a different facet of this topic, not just the border, but deportations. When we ask about deportations, it falls a little bit, 43% approval right there. So small, but potentially significant. And we say, again, numbers we saw during Trump's first term as well. One of the things we saw in Trump's first term, Republicans had a bad midterm. They lost control of the House in 2018. They're trying to avoid that next year. One of the things they're hoping will be different this time, and our poll confirms it continues to be the case right here. The Democratic Party is less popular than the Republican Party. Neither's doing great, but the Democrats more unpopular. We did not see that during Trump's first term. We are seeing that during Trump's second term. And we asked about some other specific areas here. How about vaccine use in the news this week? Florida relaxing that mandate. What do you think about the use of vaccines?
As much as Donald Trump has tried and will keep trying, there are certain truths he simply can't hide. One of them is just how historically weak his polling numbers look right now. That reality creates a real opening for Democrats. It's a chance to speak with confidence about successes on issues we've too often avoided. Take immigration, for example. Democrats sometimes shy away from it, worried about being on the defensive. But if you believe in your policies and you believe they'll create the best outcomes, then make the case. Don't let the narrative be defined by Republican talking points. Right now, even on immigration, an issue Trump has long tried to claim as his strong suit, he's underwater. That makes this the moment to engage directly. It's also important to call out the political theater for what it is. Deploying the National Guard to cities where crime has already dropped to historic lows isn't a strategy. It's a stunt designed to project control. And it sends a troubling message about governing through force instead of solutions. This is the opportunity to lean in, not back away. Trump's approach on immigration, crime, and even tariffs is crumbling under scrutiny. The failures are clear, and even his allies are getting called out when they try to defend them.
I want to talk about what U.S. companies are saying right now, Mr. Secretary. The New York Times wrote this about John Deere, the impact that tariffs are having on that company. Quote, last month, John Deere said net income in its most recent quarter was down 29% from a year earlier. Higher tariffs have cost the company $300 million so far, with nearly another $300 million expected by the end of the year. This summer, the company laid off 238 employees across factories in Illinois and Iowa. What do you say to companies like John Deere who say these tariffs are hurting them?
Well, first of all, Kristen, if you're quoting the New York Times, that's not a fair observer. And two, that...
But these are statistics.
This is about
John Deere, not about the New York Times.
That's one company that they have cherry-picked. At Treasury, we have about 2 management teams come through a day, and overwhelmingly, we are hearing from companies they plan to increase CapEx, they plan to increase employment. We are seeing a record amount, what's going to be a record amount of foreign direct investment. And for every John Deere, we have companies who are telling us the tariffs have helped our business, we're increasing CapEx, and we're going to increase employment.
But Mr. Secretary, it's not just John Deere. We've heard from a lot of different companies around the country. Nike says that tariffs will cost the company around $1 billion this year. Black & Decker says $800 million. The big 3 automakers all say they've had to pay more than $2 billion in tariffs. The list goes on and on. Bottom line, do you acknowledge that these tariffs amount to a tax on the American people?
Well, first of all, let's back up, because what we've seen, for instance, the Japanese automakers have said they're eating the tariffs.
But these companies say they're eating the tariffs. These American companies.
They're eating the tariffs. And again, there are numerous companies who are doing the opposite. You know, you're taking these from earnings calls, and on earnings calls, they have to give the draconian scenario. There aren't companies coming out and saying, oh, because of the tariffs, we're doing this. But I can tell you that whether it's Micron or Apple, they are upping their investments in the United States. And, you know, Kristen, if things are so bad, why was the GDP 3.3%? Why is the stock market at a new high? Because, you know, with President Trump, we care both about big companies and small companies. And you're quoting big companies, but the big company index, the S&P, is at a new high.
Again, this moment is an opportunity. Trump's team can't defend these policies, and the numbers speak for themselves. Even when the White House boasts about bringing in $31 billion in tariff revenue last month, let's be clear, that's not some win. That's $31 billion taken directly from American workers to help cover tax breaks for billionaires. That's not something to brag about. So let's use this moment to make the case for real policy solutions. Now is the time to be clear, confident, and loud about what actually helps people. And we're going to keep doing that right here on this channel, while also enjoying those moments when Trump faces the pushback he can't avoid. If you want to support this work, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, leave a like, and if you made it this far, drop a blue heart in the comments. Thanks for watching, and until next time, I will see you soon.